Hi there, my name is Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is April 24th, 2023. So we've had a few weeks talking about the NAMM show and this new pickup from LR Baggs, the Hi-Fi. So we can talk about that again today if you'd like to. But I thought it's been so long since we just did a Q&A and talked about gear in general that we should just do a Q&A today. So please put your questions with a Q in the chat. Let me know any gear advice you would like, or any gear advice you'd like to give me as well, of course. This is a two-way conversation. Put your questions in, or any topics you want to discuss as well. Just put a Q and write what topic you'd like us to focus on for a few minutes, and we'll do that today. If you've got a specific question you'd like me to spend some time on, feel free to send a super chat to support the channel, and we'll get on with it. First of all, I want to say hi to everyone who's in the chat already. You're early. Thank you for being here. I always appreciate it, because it's no fun doing this when it's only me sitting here, right? So Plextortion says, any further thoughts on the Headrush Prime? I will come back to that later, Plextortion, because yes, that'd be a good thing to talk about again. David Belcher, good afternoon, Aaron, and everyone in the chat. Good afternoon, David. How are you? Did you buy any guitars this week? Let us know. Jasper North is looking at me. I don't know why. I think he's waiting to ask me about the K&K, right? David Belcher says, good afternoon, everybody. John says, great day, Aaron. Still outside. Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, you're still there, yeah. Okay, I just like to refresh my memory every week and ask you where you're living in the world, as it is. Patsy Smith, hello everyone. Hope you're all well. First question from Jasper North. We'll get to that soon. And then John. And then always good to hang out with music-minded people. Okay, so I will go to the first cue, Jasper North. Have you listened to Nolan Taylor yet? He is something else. Unbelievable. Song called 68. So I know nothing about Nolan Taylor, and I'm always looking for new songs to learn. Let me know in the chat what the last song is you learnt. The last song. What's the last song that I learned? I Love a Rainy Night by Eddie Rabbit, and I love that song. If you don't know that song, I Love a Rainy Night, then do listen to that later on. That's a really fantastic song and fun to play, not too hard to play. It's really great. So let's jump over here and see what we're talking about on Jasper's question. Nolan Taylor. Nolan Taylor is a singer-songwriter based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. His voice ranges from the soft fall of rain to a heavy crack of thunder. I like that. Have you ever written a bio before? It's really difficult. And it's always good to get someone else to do it for you. It's never fun writing about your own bio, in my experience anyway. It's difficult to do. The emotional impact of his sound is not only heard but felt in the bones and in the blood. Themes of longing, desperation, joy, and sorrow ring true and genuine from his lips. When Nolan sings, it'll make you feel like all of the heartbreak you've ever experienced, found a voice, and learned how to play guitar. I'm not sure I want to listen to this. His passion is, I'm just kidding. His passion and his energy are contagious and will draw you into his stories. Of course, the best music is always about heartbreak and sorrow and regret, right? So I think that's lately why I like songs like I Love a Rainy Night, because it's not too serious. It's whimsical and light and not too serious. But I do like my serious singer-songwriters as well. I'm a big fan of Tom Waits and Leonard Cohen, so of course I do, right? So Nolan Taylor, I know nothing about him, Jasper. Let's add this to the listening list for everybody watching today. Check out Nolan Taylor and let us know next time what you think of Nolan Taylor's songs, and I will do the same. I got to admit, I spend most of my time listening to music now. Well, I either don't listen to music at all because I've just been playing a gig or playing the guitar, or I'm listening to a song that I want to learn. Either I've been asked to learn for a gig or that I want to add to the set list, because it's very important to keep adding new material, isn't it? So that's why I recently added a Bob Marley song, and then I added I Love a Rainy Night. And the great thing with I Love a Rainy Night is I like the song. People know the song, but it's not overly done. And even if you don't know the song, it's one of those songs where it's just a great song and you can like tap your foot along to it, right? So that's a really good one. So there we go. That is Nolan Taylor. Thank you, Jasper. Can't play the music because I'll might get a problem with the copyright. John says, "How is life?" Not bad, John. So I've been, I'm still selling stuff, and actually, when we finish the day, I might take the Reverend down to Guitar Center. No one bought the Reverend Strat. I'm thinking about just trading it in or trading it in at Guitar Center for cash. And I almost wanted to make a video about this. Like, here's a guitar. Here's what it cost. Here's what I got it listed for on Reverb, and it's not selling at all. What would Guitar Center give me? And this isn't a video to bash. I'm probably not doing it, but this wouldn't be a video to bash Guitar Center. When you sell a guitar to Guitar Center, they have to pay you in cash or trade, and then they have to sell it on to somebody else, and they have to make a profit from that, right? They can't give you what you would get off Reverb because they've got to buy it and then sell it on to someone at that kind of price. So they have to have margin for profit. So I got no problem with it. And it's also very easy. You walk in there with something, they check it out, they make you an offer based on previous prices, and they'll give you either the money off a new item or cash in hand. You just sign a piece of paper to say that it's not, that it is yours to sell. So I think that's great, but I think it's an interesting topic. Like, what would they actually give me for that? What am I trying to get for it? What did I pay for it? And what will they give me at Guitar Center for it? But we'll see. I decided not to make a video about it, but I could let you know next week on the chat. So that's what I've been doing. My regular gig has been closed for renovation, so I've been enjoying a little bit of downtime. They will be open again next week, and the gigs are going well, and just I'm working on what gear am I going to keep, because I don't want gear that I don't use. So I've been selling gear that I just never use, and it's really difficult to focus in on what do I actually need for what I do. What are the bare bone things that I need, and just have that stuff. It's hard to do that. So I don't want to sell something and then regret it and buy it back again. That's a big mistake, because then you're losing money twice. I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to be very methodical about what I move on and what I use at my gigs as well. Like, what do I really want? What do I need to sound my best and make the best impact? Lee is here. Lee sent me an email, and Lee is moderating. Thank you, Lee. Perhaps we'll discuss your email you sent me earlier, if you don't mind. I'll show the guitar on the screen, and we can discuss it for a few minutes. Rosanna's also moderating. Good evening, Aaron. Good to see you here. Thanks for doing that for me. Layers, Guns, and Money. Layers. I think I heard someone play that on Friday night. Who? Oh. Layers. Is that a misprint? Or has another band covered it that I'm forgetting? Caro has a question. Are you using the Lyric as a main pickup? Why? I did think that you like it. Huge fan of your job here. Thank you, my friend. I'm not. So my main pickups, this would be a good thing to discuss. My main pickups now, let's say I had a gig right now, right? The phone rings. You've got to play. You don't know what the room will be like. You don't know how many people. What am I going to use? I'm either going to take the Cole Clark with the three-way system, or I'm going to take a Martin, like my HTC, with the Bags Anthem. And I'm recommending the Anthem SL for various reasons that I should really put into a video. So, I mean, I can explain to you why I would use those. Basically, it's because there are no microphonic properties on the pickup. They're both using undersaddle pickups with no kind of processing, so you get a very good feedback rejection and no weirdness in the bass notes. And I like to play loud. This is like an hour-long video, but basically that's what I like to use for the way that I play, the rooms that I play in. And now you're going to ask me why not use the new hi-fi. Yes, I would use the hi-fi, but I need to have a notch filter with me of at least one notch. Now, I do have that on the Voice Live 3 Extreme, but is there something mentally with me? I just want to know that the guitar I have with me can go in direct. What if the voice, and this is a bit crazy, but what if the Voice Live 3 Extreme breaks and I have to plug straight into the speaker? I don't want to have to then worry about anything. So that's why I'm particularly fussy with that stuff. Now, I said in my video for the Lyric, I really liked it, and I really stand by that. To me, the Lyric and the K&K Trinity and the Fishman Rare Earth blend with 100% mic sound the most like a mic'd acoustic. And why is that? Because they're all mic'd acoustics. That is the reason. An external mic is still better because it's on the external side of the guitar, not in the guitar. But anything, including a K&K or a hi-fi or anything that is even slightly microphonic in those frequencies from 100 hertz to 200 hertz, has the potential to really take off and even have some weirdness to the sound, I find, in certain situations like the ones that I play in. And I do not get that from any undersaddle pickup. So let's take a Fishman Matrix. I do not get that at all. But I don't like the high end because it's a pickup. That's why I like the Cole Clark and the Anthem. They're a mic in the high end. They're an undersaddle in the low end. And what I'd like to see from Bags going forward, they've already mentioned that they're going to make a Anthem version of the hi-fi. My feedback to them, and I'll put this on my video review, add a notch to the hi-fi and add the microphone to the hi-fi without adding too much more weight and mass to the system. And then that, for me, could be the ultimate kind of third-party system. Until that point, for me, it's still the Anthem and the Anthem SL, which, again, I can go into further detail if you want me to, but I don't want to bore everyone. So let's move on to the next question. So my answer to your question is Lyric, no. I did, here's the thing, I did use the Lyric for a week of gigs, and it was not a problem with the notch filters. And it sounded very good, and I had some good comments on the sound. But it does not have such a direct and punchy sound as a pickup. This is the problem we're always facing. A microphone will always sound more natural. A pickup will always sound punchier. And something like an Anthem or a Cole Clark or a Maton will always sound somewhere in between. What do you choose? It's based on where you play and what you play. Someone left a comment this week that the Anthem for them on full microphone feeds back, and this is a professional sound engineer on stage. I've never had this, but that's because I don't play like that. I play in bars and restaurants. So that made me realize there is no perfect pickup, because I've said for the last 10 years that the Anthem is this amazing thing and everyone should use it, but for some people it still doesn't work in that capacity. The good thing with that is he said he can roll the mic off on the full Anthem and just have the pickup, and then that's fine. But something like an Anthem SL that I think is the one to go for would not work for him in that environment. So much of this is where you play and what you play. So many people have said to me the last 2 weeks, so what do I buy? Do I buy this new hi-fi, or do I buy a Lyric, or do I buy an Anthem? It's such a silly question in a way, because I can't tell anyone over the internet what to buy. And you can't do that with anything. You can't do that with shoes. You can't do that with amps. You can't do that with guitars. You need a session, really. I've done some private sessions in the past where I sit down and say, right, where do you play? What do you play? How do you play? Show me yourself playing. And then let's decide based on all of those factors what the best thing is possibly. Even then, I can't be 100% sure what could be the best solution for you. And even then, the things to look out for happening. So there is no best. And that's what I understand why people ask that question. When you're buying something, like let's say we're buying a video game console or a phone, you don't care about the nitty gritty. You just want to know which one to buy, right? You don't want to spend time on this stuff and try all this stuff out. You just want to know, which one should I buy? Should I buy the iPhone or the Galaxy or the Google Pixel? You don't care about how they're made, when they're made, what they're made of, and what chips they use. You just want to know, which one should I buy? But these days, there's so many products, it's so hard to recommend just one thing to somebody. And anyone that does that, I don't really trust it, because, again, it works for them with what they are doing. It does not mean it will work for everybody. I need some water. I'm talking a lot today. Cheers. I bought a Jet. Here we go. Graham, how you doing? I bought a Jet JS300 Strat copy the other day, very cheap at 159 bucks. But I just wanted something to add for recording. It's built really well, ceramic pickups, but I'll upgrade them. Yeah, that's one thing I'm thinking of lately, Graham, with my guitars. I want to get down to a few electric guitars. So what do? Do I just sell everything and look for something that is, to what the spec that I need? And this is another problem. I spend a lot of time thinking that I want a certain brand or model of instrument to satisfy my emotional needs, I guess, in a way. But then the other side of me is like, what do I actually need when I play? So I notice with even my Sir that I love, the blue one, I keep scratching my hand on the adjustments for the saddles. So you can replace those with ones that don't do that. But it's frustrating because why don't these companies just do that in the first place? You can get vintage looking saddles that don't have the screws poking out. So why don't they use those in the first place? So that becomes this whole thing of, do I mod a guitar until I'm really happy with it? Or do I look for a guitar that I'm happy with out of the box, but maybe isn't the brand that I want? So that's what you've done is a good way to go. You've spent an affordable amount of money, and then you can mod it to what you want. I think it's frustrating these days to spend a lot of money and have to mod it. I don't understand why you'd spend $3,000 on a guitar and then feel the need to change things about it that arguably would be changes that everyone wants to make. Who wants screw adjustment saddles that stick out of the saddle? Why would you want that? Someone might argue it sounds better, but I mean, I can't accept that argument because comfort is so important, and how much can they really affect the sound? Oh, I shouldn't say that because now I've started a big debate on that, but you know. Another question from Icaro. What do you think about the Alar Bag's Venue DI, and when compared to the VoicePrint DI? Worth to buy a Venue in 2023? Great question. So again, it depends what you do, where you play, and what you need. It's a bit like analog versus digital. You can look at the Venue DI. In fact, why don't we bring this up on the screen so everyone knows what we're actually talking about. We'll start with the Venue DI. The Bag's Venue DI has been around for a long time. So some people might say, well, that's an older device. Let's not buy that one. Let's buy the newer device because it's new and shiny. And I do understand that to a degree, but they're very different products. I have to keep moving my face. There we go. They're very different products. This is more of an analog approach. So you're going to reach down there and change the controls with your hand. You're not going to use an app. And that has its good and bad sides, right? It makes it faster to make changes, more old school. But you can't be as specific with those changes because like all the frequencies here are locked. They're already predetermined. Whereas on the VoicePrint, you can choose what frequencies they are you change. And it also creates an impulse response as well. So very different products. I can almost see a reason for having both, but I'm sure you want me to give you a decision on one. I think it comes down to, actually, it's really hard to even say. At the end of the day, the Venue DI has battery power. That might be really important to you to be able to use a battery. And the VoicePrint DI needs to be powered. So if you have a pedal board, it's a good way to go. It also needs to run the app, really. So do you want to run an app? Do you have a device that will run the app? And do you want to run the app? It is compatible with iPhone and Android now, by the way. But which approach do you want? It's a bit like, do you want a digital mixer or an analog mixer? They both have pros and cons. It's really hard. Basically, if you want to mess around with impulse responses and you like the idea of an app on your phone and you have a pedal board, then you should probably get the VoicePrint DI. My only thing about that VoicePrint DI is it does add a bit of noise where I live. It might be just interference locally in the building, but mine adds a bit of kind of a digital whine, and I've told them about that, and I don't like that. But I've heard other people say theirs doesn't. So if you do buy one, then do get one from a place with a good return policy in case that does happen to you. The Venue DI I find very clean. I've actually got one. It's very clean. It sounds good, and you can use a battery with it. It's got the tuner built in as well. So they're almost, although they're both DIs, they're completely different products. It's impossible to say. So you'd have to tell me more about the pickup you're using, where you're playing, and what you want from a DI in order for me to recommend one of them. I think they're both very good in their class, And if I was choosing based on the pickups that I'm using right now, I would choose the Venue DI. For me, the VoicePrint DI actually works the best with the K&K. The K&K and the VoicePrint DI are an ideal match, which is weird because LR Bags don't make the K&K, right? It works really well with that pickup. I was listening back to some live streams I did in lockdown, and I thought it sounded excellent. And I also did some crossover stuff with it when I had the K&K in the OM before I took it out for the hi-fi. That again sounded excellent. If you use a K&K, I really recommend the VoicePrint DI for those reasons. With any other system like the Anthem, I would suggest the Venue, I think. Or you might not need one at all, because at the end of the day, something like a Bag's Anthem is already active. It already has a preamp. You don't really need another preamp unless you want those controls and the tuner and the different EQ options. I find the Bag's Anthem sounds very good just going straight in. Okay, so yeah, feel free to put another Q if you want any more like specific information. I don't want to spend too long on one product, right? But is it still worth buying in 2023? Yes, it is. George, how you doing? Do you have an opinion recommendation for a clip-on acoustic guitar microphone? Well, for the longest time, I wanted to try the... help me out. What's the famous mic? The DPA. And I did try one briefly, but it broke. It just stopped working after a few days, and I returned it, which is a shame because I really felt that it sounded really good. And I think Neumann make one of these now as well. Yeah, as you can see, they're not affordable, but they're kind of an industry standard. So I would definitely consider this. I'm just a bit hesitant because, again, I can only ever talk about my experience, and what happened to me may have just been a one-off, but it did scare me. So I would again purchase from a place where they stand by their products. If I bought this from Sweetwater and that happened within the 2 years, they give you like a free warranty essentially, because you've got the first year with the manufacturer, and then Sweetwater will give you like tech support and warranty for another year on top of that. I believe I'm right. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2 years. So I'd be happy to buy one again from Sweetwater, because if it did fail again like that after a year, I know they'd stand by me and help me out and get it repaired or replaced. I presume, because I've had such great experience with them in the past. But that was unfortunate. Now I have got a review on the channel of another microphone. I can't think of the name right now, but it's very similar to this, and it was much more affordable. And I would recommend that. I did compare them quickly. I don't think it sounds as good as the DPA, but it did sound good. But they're not available in the USA. You have to buy them through Reverb. So I'm kind of leaning towards this. But again, application, just remember, this will still not sound as good as an external microphone. So do you really need the clip-on microphone? If you're using it at home to record, you might be better off just using an external like KM184. That will probably sound better than this. But if you need to be mobile, you need it on stage, then I think this is the one that I'd recommend. Also, check out the Neumann version that came out last year or recently. But they're really the two industry standards. And like I said, when I did try this briefly, I was impressed with it. The problem with these kind of things is that clip. It's going to fall off. I'm worried it will scratch my guitar. I don't know if it will or not. It's rubber. But it will also fall off potentially while you're playing, and I don't want that. That's why I use pickups. Everyone says to me, why don't you just use a microphone, Aaron? You'll get the best sound. Well, because I don't want the mic to fall off, or I don't want that. I want to be fully mobile while I'm playing. Not to say that I'm jumping around like Mick Jagger, but I don't want to have to even think about that happening, all right? So I tell you what, actually, the other good mic, I keep talking about it. The Fishman Rare Earth Blend is really good. There's a mic in there, and you can set it to either all magnetic, all microphone, or in between. And the mic by itself sounds really good. There was a bit of a honky sound to it, but I was able to EQ it out with just one EQ. That is a very natural sounding microphone that goes in the sound hole. I would suggest you check that out as well. It also means that you can move around. It won't fall out while you're playing. And if you find you're getting feedback from the mic, you could then dial in more of the pickup. The only thing is, of course, it's in the guitar, and any mic in the guitar never really sounds as good as a mic outside the guitar, like the DPA. So that's up to you to decide which way you want to go with that. And by the way, I'll give myself a quick ad here. If you're buying from Sweetwater, click my link in any of my videos before you make a purchase. I get commission at no expense to you. Someone today, it looks like they bought one of the hi-fi pickups. Thank you very much, because that helps me out. And I did spend 2 whole days doing that HDC hi-fi video. Not complaining, I enjoyed it, but it did take up 2 days. All right, let's do the next one. Thank you, Wildfire, digging the content. I think we've got a lot more and more acoustic fans around these days. I think the hi-fi has brought this interest back again in acoustic guitar amplification, and that's really good for the acoustic guitar community, right? So we did George's question. Also, if you're new here, subscribe, ring the bell. That really helps me out as well. The more numbers I get, the more boy, I can't think of the word. The better it gets. Another question, Mikaro. Can you suggest some reverbs for acoustic? What do you think about the Hall of Fame? I'm going to be reviewing the Fishman, the new Fishman pedals. The reverb is really good and very affordable. I don't feel guilty anymore about saying that I've got all these videos that I'm going to make, because I just don't rush these things. I don't get something and just make the video, and I get something and I really use it because I want to make sure there's no weird sounds, there's no issues. It works with multiple guitars and interfaces. I don't rush my reviews, and I mean, part of that may be laziness in a way. I'm not like on the ball and just get to it, but I like to sit back and take my time with stuff. I want my reviews to be based on time as well as information, you know. So I've been trying out one of these Fishman pedals. I've now tried the looper, which is working well. I've tried the reverb, it's working well. I'll put them on the screen. These are brand new, released last week at the NAMM show. And Fishman asked me to feature them on the channel. So I'm going to feature them right now, and I'm going to do a full video demo of them as well. So I'm really taking my time with this. So far, I've tried the reverb. Sounds very, very good. The reason the reverb is good as well for an acoustic player is that it separates the 2 signals internally. You always get the dry signal and the reverb separate, always. Some reverbs, you'll get the reverb mixed in with the original signal. But the thing about acoustic guitar is it's really nice to keep them separate. When you record in the studio with acoustic, you'll often have the dry acoustic track and then the reverb running alongside it. You won't blend the 2 together. So that's built into this pedal. And the price is very good too. You mentioned the Hall of Fame. I have that on my electric board. I like that pedal. But if you're talking about for an acoustic guitar, then I would recommend this one at this price. Now, there are other amazing reverbs from people like Universal Audio, but they're also bigger and much more expensive. If you just want a simple reverb and you want to save space, then this one has been working great for me. While we're here, I'll just give the other ones a shout out as well. This is a looper. I've been trying it. It works very well. It's only a 1-button looper, so it's not for like looping artists. But if you want a very simple looper that can also load in backing tracks and things, again, in a simple kind of way, and you want to keep it small and affordable, this is really cool. So the next one I will be auditioning before I make the video is the EQ. The EQ looks really nice. So I'm going to try that one out. And actually someone posted about this on Facebook today, so they really like it. So I'm excited to try that one. And then there's this blender, which you can blend 2 pickups together with and also use as a clean boost. So I'll be doing that one as well. So I'm going to make that video, but I'm not going to make it until I've tried them all out. Fishman have answered any of my questions, and I can 100% say this is my thoughts on the product. So subscribe and ring the bell. Watch out for that coming soon. So I would recommend you get that because I like that one. I've tried that all last week. I was trying it. It sounded really good. Yeah, like I said, I love the UA stuff, but it's more like 4 times the price. So I don't know what you want to spend on it. Hall of Fame is excellent. If you want to use it on the electric as well, I might recommend that. But if you're talking about acoustic, which you are, check out the Fishman pedal. And I love these little pedals too because you can have multiple ones. Peterson have released the mini strobe tuner pedal. Imagine a board like that. The mini Peterson strobe tuner, which for me is the best on the market. The mini reverb from Fishman. The mini EQ from Fishman, and maybe, I don't know, you can choose, can't you? You can look at other mini pedals. Hopefully there'll be more of those mini pedals from Fishman in the future, but until then, you could look at other mini pedals and make a little board with exactly what you want on it, and that'd be a really nice option. Sorry for the English mistakes. My corrector. Oh, no, no problem. Are you using the translator? That's impressive. It works great. Oh, we haven't. Are you new here? Eucastrophe 101. Nice to meet you. Hello from Maine. Oh, again, I guess you're not new here. Hello from Maine. Have you heard anything about Taylor Guitar's new acoustic guitar amp? No, I haven't. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Those NAMM videos are gold because sometimes they'll drop something in that you didn't know about. It happened. I told you last week. It happened with Seymour Duncan. They mentioned the new Power Stage electric amp, just an amplifier for a modeler, and that was not meant to be mentioned apparently, or at least it's not. It's not announced yet. So the Circa 74. I know nothing about that. Let's see if it comes up on the Google. Yeah, I got it. Oh, I almost dropped my water. I almost dropped my water. I got so excited. Let me see this here. It's one of those potentially dodgy looking links. So I'll click out and cross my fingers. Huh? That must be an older product I'm looking at. Are you sure this is a new product or was he referencing an older product? Because this is what I'm seeing. That's not it, is it? I don't know what that is. This looks like something older. Is that even by Taylor? I don't know. I'm confused now. It's made by, yeah. Is this it or is this an older product? Someone help me out. I don't know. It looks like it's made by Taylor and it's called the Circa 74. Is it possible there's a new Circa 74 coming out and this is not it? I won't stay on this too long, but can someone do that research for me and let me know if you know in the chat? That's not even Taylor's logo. This is bizarre. I don't know what that is, but I presume this is a new amp coming out from them for acoustic players, which hasn't been released yet. And, I'll keep an eye out for it, but yeah, I don't know what that was. Lee said, okay, so along those lines, yeah, I did. Interesting. Small world, isn't it? I heard someone play that song on Friday. I almost don't want to read out the title in case I get flagged by YouTube, but I guess I already did earlier on. Who wrote that? Who plays that? And then let's talk. So Lee was talking to me earlier. He sent me an email and he said that he played a Taylor that he liked the other day. So I thought we'd just talk about it quickly because this is always interesting. I'm always looking for a Taylor that I like the sound of. I've played so many that they're just not quite the sound that I'm looking for. So it's interesting as a Martin fan that Lee liked this one. This is actually a guitar I've heard a lot of good things about from many people. So this is certainly not one of their affordable guitars, but I've heard amazing things about this. This is the Builder's Edition, and it's all Koa, I believe. Yeah, Koa top, back, and sides, mahogany neck, and ebony fingerboard. And look at how much they vary with the wood grain. Isn't that crazy? Let's play a game. Which one would you choose? Number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4? This always happens to me. I'd probably choose number 4, the one that's highlighted here, because I'm kind of boring like that. But then I look at the weight on Sweetwater. It says 4 pounds 12 ounce. No, there's one that's 4 pounds 7 ounces. I'd much rather save myself 5 ounces than get the one that I like the look of. But but then I don't like the look of this one as much. Let's click on it. That's actually a great question for you, everyone watching. Would you choose an acoustic guitar based on the top wood, how it looks on the top wood, or the weight? And you might say the weight doesn't matter to you, but if the weight did matter to you and the looks also matter to you, would you choose the top that you prefer the look of that's heavier, or the top that you like less so, which is lighter? Because it's very rare that you see a guitar where you get both. Actually, now I'm looking at this, I don't mind it. It's pretty nice. I'm not so sure about these ones, although actually the closer I look at them, the more I like them. Like that. It's actually quite interesting, isn't it? And it's book matched, right? Yeah. So that's quite interesting. Yeah, actually, I take it back. I do like that. I guess the most plain looking one is the one that's the heaviest. This one here. But maybe that's too plain. What do you think? Is that a bit, that's boring even for me, maybe. Maybe I would go for the lightest one then. Maybe I would go for this. £4, 7 ounces, very nice. That's a nice looking guitar. And then we can check out the back as well. That's nice too. And the headstock, see if there's any wings on it. And the case. That's the ES2. ES2 I'm still undecided about. I'm going to review an ES2 on here this year at some point. But the ES2, for me, I always think that E string is a bit weak sounding. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty good sounding system. The battery life also isn't particularly long, which bothers me a little bit. But that is a very cool guitar, Lee. The real question here is, are you allowed to buy one at $5,999 US dollars? So let me know what you think of that. What do you think of Taylor's? Do you own one? Do you like them? Have you tried this model? I know several people have, and I've seen amazing reviews of this model in particular. Obviously, the woods matter. It's frustrating the way people talk about brands on the internet. Like, I don't like Cole Clark. I don't like Maton. I don't like Taylor. I don't like Martin. They all make different instruments. Like, have you played them all? With my Cole Clark, I'll be the first to admit, acoustically, it's very narrow sounding, small sounding, because it's made from dense, hard wood that will feed back less on a loud stage. And that's why they do it. But they also make guitars made of redwood, and they also make guitars made of cedar. They also make guitars, if you want, made of rosewood and Sitka, like a Martin. So you can get any woods that you want, and I'd love to try those one day, because I've never actually tried a guitar from Cole Clark that isn't all solid blackwood. So I'd love to try those one day, but actually I have briefly, but not I haven't tried enough different ones to really get an opinion. So I'd love to play a Koa Taylor. I think I may have played one when I went out the other week. I told you about it last week. I think I may have played an all Koa Taylor. I think I did like it. I didn't find it particularly loud, but I liked the overall tone more than some other ones I've played from other woods. It certainly looks amazing. I'll give it that. So let me know in the chat what you think of that, and we'll discuss it. Do I carry a spare guitar to gigs? No, so here's the thing. Here's my way around that. I don't. As a rule, I don't. First of all, what I'll do is if I'm playing in a band and playing electric guitar, I will take a second guitar just to leave in the car. If I'm playing an acoustic gig, sometimes I have taken a backup, like something like a silent guitar from Yamaha. I keep that guitar because I'll just throw that in the car again as a backup, and it's okay to leave it in the car for a few hours. But my general gigs, I don't take a backup guitar. Some bigger gigs, I'll take a backup guitar, a backup speaker, backup cables, backup mic, everything backed up, especially if I'm driving hours away. If I'm playing locally and it's a regular gig and I'm trying to travel light, I can't take a second guitar. This is how you get around it. You choose a pickup system that has nothing in the sound hole. So I'm sorry, the full Anthem will not work for this. The Anthem SL, you install the controls further back. Choose a pickup system where the sound hole is completely open. And the reason is, if your pickup dies, you can carry around with you a magnetic pickup, preferably a passive one, but you can get one with batteries. The batteries might die, of course. So if you can find a decent sounding passive lightweight pickup that goes in the sound hole, ideally one that installs with no screwdriver. If it needs a screwdriver, then also keep a small screwdriver that fits in that package. If you ever have the problem with your pickup dying in the guitar, because let's face it, the guitar is probably not going to fall to pieces. You might break a string, so carry spare strings. You can always change a string. It's unlikely that an acoustic guitar is just going to fail. It's not like a TV, right, where it just turns off and you can't watch it anymore. An acoustic guitar, you're probably going to have a problem with your pickup system. So if you have the sound hole clear and you carry around a cheap, lightweight, decent, maybe not even cheap, and maybe not even lightweight, but for me it's lightweight because I'm just trying to always save weight in my guitar bag. So lightweight, easy to install, have the screwdriver if you need it with you, a small one. What you can do is, if you ever got to a gig and your pickup had completely failed, or the jack was cutting out, or something, it just blew up, then you can just get that out of the guitar bag, install it into the guitar, run the cable out of the guitar sound hole, and plug it straight into the PA. You can then play the gig. So that's my backup guitar. That's exactly it. And if you're driving to a gig, why not have something like a Yamaha silent guitar on the back seat, because it's so light, it's so or even rain songs, a guitar that you can just leave in the car all day long, and it's light. Obviously hide it in the back under a sheet. Don't leave it on the back seat. But why not have a guitar like that as a backup? Then you haven't got to deal with any of that. You can just grab it. Or maybe someone wants to jam with you, or maybe you want to have two guitars. You can just grab that guitar. So I think if you're able to take backup gear, I think you should take a backup of absolutely everything. And if you're not able to take backup gear with an acoustic guitar, I think you should take a backup pickup system that installs into the sound hole. And that's how I get around it. What's your current pedal platform for gigs? Still using HX Stomp? No, I'm not. Using without additional switches or other pedals. I'm not using it. It doesn't have enough DSP for me. Don't love the amp sounds and that. If you're talking about electric guitar, I think that's a good pedal for acoustic guitar. My pedal for acoustic guitar is still the TC Helicon Voice Live 3 Extreme. That is still the best pedal for what I do. Let's see if they're back in stock yet. It's still the best for me because it has all-in-one. It's incredibly lightweight, and it has a good 3-track looper. Why is it not coming up? Oh, I put TV. TC Helicon. I think they still make them as well, which is getting more and more rare with the TC stuff. But they've not been in stock in Sweetwater for a long time. Still back ordered. I think you can find them if you look around the internet, but I think they might be coming in, I heard, September. So that shouldn't be too much longer, considering they've been out of stock for months now. What's that? May, June, July, August. Yeah, 5 months' time. So this is still my go-to. It's very light. It's got all these switches on it, and it just works for what I do. We'll talk about that another day in more detail. But for electric guitar, Quad Cortex is really impressing me. I love it. It's small. It can also be a mixer for the band. Or I would just take my amp with me. I have an amp and a small pedal board of mini pedals for electric guitar. Sometimes it's nice just to grab an amp and a small pedal board and just play the guitar. But the QC is awesome. Actually, last night I recorded, I made some captures of my amp, and they came out great. They sound not exactly the same. They sound exactly the same, but the QC, actually, the captures have a bit more volume and fullness to them, which is weird, right? You think the amp would have been that way. But if you were just playing it to someone and not really paying attention and asked them what that was, they would just think it was one amp. It sounds that good. If you really listen and look at the wave files, you can see that the QC is a little bit fat. The wave's a bit fatter and it sounds a bit louder. Maybe it is just a bit, maybe it was the gain staging or something, the way it was recorded. But to just listen to the tone and just listen to them without analyzing in that much detail, you wouldn't know the difference. It's really clever. And it's a great all-round pedal. They actually had a security breach this week and lost a load of people's email addresses, which I'm not happy about, but you know, that is a risk you take with a digital product these days, isn't it? All right, talk amongst yourselves. I need some more water. Do you know the Martin Custom D Rosewood? Is it a good guitar? I don't know what that is. Custom D Rosewood. Let me Google it. Martin Custom D Rosewood. That looks like an older. That's an older guitar. Looks like one that musician's friend made a while ago. Is that what you're talking about? I don't know it. Solid Sitka spruce top and solid rosewood back and sides. That looks like the one that I reviewed a few months ago from Guitar Center, like a more affordable standard series. Actually, that is very much like the Saturn series they're now releasing, isn't it? You see that a lot with this mortise and tenon and not a full dovetail. You see that a lot with Martin. I've seen it over the years. You'll get models at Guitar Center, special custom orders at Guitar Center, and then that kind of works its way into the line. I don't know if they like what Guitar Center have suggested and they want to do it themselves, or if they make them for Guitar Center as a way to kind of test the water. I don't know, but You do see that happen quite a lot over the years. It is Monday, Doc. Just ordered the Zoom Multi-Stomp MS50G for its compact size. MS50G. Zoom make great stuff, right? I've got some Zoom reviews on the channel. Yeah, I don't think I've tried this one. I've tried similar ones. I've tried the one I tried is like this, but a different form factor. Can't think off the top of my head what it's called, but I get comments on that video every day. People love that pedal because it's so affordable. And you can connect an external mic to it as well, which is quite nice. I think this might have been around before it, but you're right. It's compact. It has the IRs in there. And you've got the button on there, the foot switch. I think it's time for Zoom to make a new acoustic pedal, and I think they might do. They've had a new bass and a new electric pedal recently, but not a new acoustic pedal. But they've got several pedals for acoustic guitar, so choose the one that works best for you. But their stuff is very affordable, and you get a lot of value for money. Graham, do you use a foldback speaker on GUI? I think you mean solo acoustic gigs. I usually don't, but I'm tempted to start. It's more to carry. No, I don't see the point for it. Actually, a friend of mine was playing Friday night, and he had a monitor speaker at this bar. I played that too, and it actually did sound good even for the audience. It adds more sound because he's using a house system. I don't think it's necessary. Like you said, it's another thing to take. I always just I try to stand in front of the PA. Because if you stand in front of the PA and have the speaker beside you and slightly behind you, you can get it to a position where you can hear the PA and then the audience hears it as well. And it kind of works as a monitor. I don't stand behind PA speakers. Then I would need a monitor foldback speaker, yes. But in those situations lately, I'm using in-ear monitors. And that sounds really good too. Consider that. Consider in-ear monitors. Because there's zero, if you stand behind the speakers, there's zero feedback. And you haven't got to carry the thing with you, and it won't be another potential thing for someone to trip over or for the sound to get too boomy. So if you want foldback, consider in-ear monitors. Takes a while to get used to them, and make sure you buy some really good ones. Make that investment, but I think that's the way to go. Also depends on your pickup as well, because a bad sounding pickup in in-ear monitors sounds particularly bad. But something like an Anthem or a Cole Clark sounds very, 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 very acceptable through in-ear monitors, because they've got a rich sound in the first place. How you doing? Good to see you again. Digital hissing or whine is annoying. I agree, especially on acoustic guitar. I've told them several times, and I've also, like I said, to be fair, this channel is about my experience, but I do have to also research others' experience. I've not seen many people say that. I've seen one or two other posts about it. Obviously, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. I'm not hearing things. But the fact is, when you have it turned up loud in the in-ear monitors, you can hear it. You can't really hear it in the room. And I guess a lot of people don't use in-ear monitors, and maybe that's why I'm hearing it. But in my in-ears, I can hear it. And even if it's just in my apartment, that's not really an answer. And I've told them, please look into that for a future sort of revision. But would that mean I'd say don't buy it? No, because you might not even use in-ear monitors, and it might not happen where you live. I don't know what your power is like where you live. So, but there is something I look for. That's why I'm taking my time with the Fishman pedals. I want to make sure they sound good. I do not want to add something to the acoustic chain that negatively affects the tone of the guitar. I don't think that's a good move. And David said the Core DPA. Yeah, that's that mic. That's the one I had. But like I said, I had problems with mine. It scared me. Sorry for the amount of questions. I had some time at work and came running and listened to the podcast. I took the opportunity to ask. I go, no, it's fine. I can see these were posted about 20 minutes ago. David is vouching for the DPA. Pretty stable as long as you don't move very much. I just worry about that clip either marking the guitar or falling off the guitar. And also, there's a mic hanging over the guitar. You might knock it with your hand as well. There's things to think about here. You know, all this is a compromise, but and I'd love to use a DPA. Imagine using a DPA, an actual external microphone, at your gig. It could sound absolutely out of this world. But make sure it's practical for you before you invest that money in it. I would like to get one again one day, but I'm just a bit burned. Yeah, I've told them that as well. The LR Bags venue with the Petersons. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Paul. This is important information. I love the Peterson strobe tuner, mostly because it's incredibly accurate, but also because it's fast. That's very important to me. So when I got the Venue DI, I've tried one years ago, and I thought to myself, that Venue DI tuner is terrible, but I decided to revisit it. So I got the Peterson strobe tuner and the Venue DI, and I tuned the Venue DI and then checked the tuning on the Peterson strobe tuner, and I kid you not, it was bang on. So the Venue DI tuner is actually really accurate. It's very good. It's no problems at all. It's just not very fast. So it's not, I do think they should put a strobe tuner in there. I agree. Or at least a tuner with a strobe kind of mode and feel to it. But it's not, actually turns out it's not a bad tuner. It's very accurate. There's a lot of tuners out there that are not accurate, and that drives me crazy. The Venue DI tuner is accurate. And if you want to take your time to tune, it's absolutely fine. But I agree, a strobe tuner would be a knock above that, definitely. As you mentioned, Universal Audio, I've been tempted to try the Dream 65. I did try it when it first came out, and I returned it immediately. I didn't make a video about it. I thought it was good, but to spend that kind of money on just a clean pedal platform sound, I didn't think it was enough for me. And I compared it to the Quad Cortex, and I felt that was just as good and has more options. Don't overlook something like the Quad Cortex. It's more of an investment, but it's got so much cool stuff in there. I really think it's worth it. I really do. It sounds great. I might post a YouTube short tonight of the amp that I copied, and I'm telling you there's a difference more in volume. I matched the volumes, but there's some kind of difference in the volume. I don't know. Maybe I'll look at it again after the stream. But it's amazing. It captured the sound of my amp. Amazing. By the way, that's what it did. It captured the sound of my amp. It's amazing. And you saw my videos as well where I compared like the JP2C model they have to the real thing. The same settings. I felt like it sounded exactly the same. That's really incredible. I really think their modeling is the best. They also do profiling. Their effects are all good too. It works great for acoustic. It works great for electric. It works great for singers. I've always said I like the Quad Cortex, but as the years go by, I just like it more and more. And it's small, it's compact. And my thing is, if you bought the UA Dream pedal and the UA the Reverb pedal, you're almost halfway or a third of the way to a Quad Cortex. So maybe that's a better way to go. That's all. Of course, if you want something small, then it might be the way to go. Also consider the Tonex pedal, because that's really getting great reviews too, and is a similar kind of thing, but you can load in more amps, more profiles to it. So yeah, not completely against the Dream 65. I love what they do. If that is the one sound that you want, then I think it's worth checking out, but consider the other options as well. Problem with the Tonex is it's still kind of profiling. It's not the actual amp where the Dream is, but the Quad Cortex is the actual amp and profiles. But then you've got a bigger format, more money. If you're looking to make a small board, then obviously the Dream 65 is probably still a better way to go. Yep, Nuix have some pedals like the amp that's more affordable. I agree. I like their stuff too. I just don't like their wireless stuff, but I like their electric stuff. The Galaxy 74, is that the reverb pedal? They just had a new bunch of pedals come out. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the song that I won't say by name again in case I get flagged by YouTube is by Warren Zevon. That's right. I'm a big fan of Warren Zevon, so I don't know why I didn't know that. Ah, the Galaxy 74 is a tape echo simulator. I like digital delays, but yeah, I love Universal Audio. Their stuff just works. They're like the Apple for, and I shouldn't say that because I'll get Samsung fans and Android fans complaining, but one reason I like Apple is that the stuff usually just works. Not always, to be fair. Usually it just works as it's meant to, and I find that with UA and Neural as well. It just gives you what you're looking for. You're not hunting around for tweaks and changes. Talking about the Taylor now. Let me go back, see if I can find it again. So we had a vote for, I find this stuff interesting. Remember, this stuff does not matter. All that matters to you when buying a guitar or a piece of gear is how you like it. Do not listen to other people. This can be very dangerous. Like when you go on forums or ask your friends what they think of your instrument or your gear, If someone says to you they don't like it for some reason or they return theirs, it's very easy to then want to sell it and buy something else. Do not do that. So I think these all look good, actually, to be fair. But what are we saying here? Number 3. See, I wouldn't have chosen number 3, but there we go. And then number 4. That's the kind of most uniform looking one. And then Poo Ninja says, I choose looks over weight and then sound the most. Interesting. See, the weight does matter to me, but only because I'm standing up and playing a lot. Lee said, it's amazing to play Rosanna. Play Rosanna or play the guitar? Was this... Oh, no, okay. It's amazing to play the guitar. Rosanna was listening. She can tell you how good it was by the look on my face when I was playing it. So why didn't you buy it? It was beautiful in looks and sounds. That's funny. That's what Lee says about you. No, he does. Why didn't... Okay, next question then is, why didn't you buy it? If you find a guitar that you think looks amazing, plays amazing, and sounds amazing, why not buy it? And are you considering it? And by the way, I'm not telling people they should buy stuff. I've learned that lesson the hard way myself. We've got to be careful what we spend our hard-earned money on. But when you do find an instrument, and I know Lee likes guitars, and he's found an instrument, he loves the look of it, he loves the sound of it, he loves the way it plays. I'm interested to know if he's interested in adding that to his life. I always get an itchy nose an hour into the stream. I think it's the dryness, because I turn off the humidifier and it gets dry in the room. I think that's what it is. Crazy. If the dryness of the room can affect me that much, then how does that affect the guitars, right? So bear that in mind. It's still dry this time of year. It's just crazy. I guess we'll be waiting for May to turn off the humidifiers. So Taylor has 3 new American Dream models now, the 80, 21, 22, and 27. I think they're called the Vintage Series. They're all solid mahogany. Yeah, Taylor have been making changes to their lineup recently. They have been, they did loads of things. They made the 400 series a sunburst only, and I believe that's because obviously the wood is covered by the sunburst. So they can use more of their wood stocks. They've also made the Builder's Edition 800 series using Addy, but 4 pieces of Addy, because they're saying there's not enough single sheets of Addy to make a top anymore. So everything they're doing is leading me to believe more and more that we're just running out of wood. And if there's a guitar you've really wanted your whole life and you're going to buy, you should probably buy it. Again, I'm not telling people to spend their money, but that is a thing to be aware of now. Wood is getting... Every year goes by, we see less and less. We see Martin not using certain woods anymore. We see Taylor using alternative methods. Heck, even Martin with that series they've just released, the Saturn series with the printed on relicking. I mean, there's a reason why you do that. It means you can use wood that doesn't look quite as nice. Because on a standard series, you get the naked wood, right? So you want a piece that looks visually appealing, usually. We're getting less and less so now because we haven't got that luxury. And maybe we never should have had that luxury, but that is a thing. Martin grade their wood on looks. So if they've got a piece of wood that is structurally sound and a great piece of wood, but it doesn't look quite right, they can just print over the top of it and they can sell it as the Saturn series. That's my theory, by the way. I don't know. That's not a fact. But we're seeing that more and more, and that's just something that has to be done. That's why I always say to you, if you find a mint condition... Oh, actually, I've got a tip for you guys and girls. If you find a mint condition guitar, you should buy it. Do you want to hear my tip? If you want to hear my tip, give me a like. If I get enough likes, I'll give you my tip on buying a Martin guitar. I've only got 16, you see, and I've got 30 people watching. If I can get 20 likes, I'll give you my tip on buying a Martin guitar. All right. Graham says, my Taylor is 20 years old. A 310. Well gigged and over the years and sounds like a Canon. Some more modern Taylors that I've played seem a bit more delicate and plasticky. The thing for me is, I've always liked Taylors. I used to have one. My first main guitar was a Taylor 414 CE with a Fishman pickup. And for me, it's that V-class bracing. Ever since they switched to V-class bracing, I find a lot of the guitars to be a bit harsh in the mid-range, a bit MIDI, not very open. Some people say Martin overemphasizes the low E and A, and it gives you that boomier sound that's more kind of instantly pleasing. But I like the sound of my other guitars, like the Rain Song and the Maiden sounds very good, and the Cole Clark. Well, the Cole Clark, I like the tone. This is not particularly open or loud sounding on that particular guitar. But the Taylors can sound a bit very mid-rangey, I find. I don't know if that's to do with the V-bracing. I also will say this, though. A new guitar always sounds tight to me. Like, if you find a new guitar that sounds great out the box, then that's a great thing. You should probably go with that. But I always find brand new guitars, as much as I love a brand new guitar, it does have this certain kind of tight, you say plasticky, but like tight sound. I really believe a guitar that's aged 10 years, and this is part of the tip I was going to give you if I hit enough likes, which I have now, thank you. I like the guitar to sit a bit and kind of like a cup of tea, sit there and brew before you drink it. That's what happens with an acoustic guitar. A brand new guitar, which most Taylors I've played can have that newness to them. But for me, there's something about that V-bracing. I'd love to try an X-brace Taylor from the old days. But then, again, you can do that now. The winner here is the consumer, because you can go onto Reverb and you can buy an X-braced old Taylor in mint condition, and you haven't got to buy new anymore. Just don't ever forget that. And that'll bring me on to the tip. Okay, let's do the tip that I've discovered. I almost don't want to share this with you because it might take a guitar away that I want to buy one day, but I'll give it to you because you're kind enough to watch my show. Here's the question. Have you ever heard about Martin prototype guitars? So I've been looking around this week, as I always do, and I've seen a few guitars for sale, and it says the word prototype. Now, I know what you're thinking. The first thing you're going to think is, well, hang on. I'm not buying no prototype guitar. I'm not buying some guitar that's got wires hanging off it, and the word prototype is scary, right? Well, I can't believe I've never heard this before. Don't be scared of the word prototype. What happens is, apparently, from my understanding, when Martin makes a new model, they will make, obviously, a prototype, right? I played one at the Martin Museum. I played the OM28 John Mayer prototype. It doesn't mean it's like a wacky experiment, like the word implies. It just simply means, or maybe it's just me, but it just simply means they've built some of these guitars before they then enter final production. So these are usually the same exact guitar that goes into production. Sometimes they'll say prototype inside, and sometimes they won't, but the serial number will be marked down as a prototype. Now, the reason why these are cool guitars is that they'll be kept. They don't sell them straight away. They keep them as prototypes. They will then sell them to a dealer. And this is why I'm talking about it. I've seen some dealers lately selling these Martin prototypes. So they'll get so many guitars they need to clean out, they'll just sell them to a dealer. If you buy one, you get no warranty with it. But that's okay, because I mean, what can really go wrong, right? With it? I mean, I guess things do go wrong with guitars, but be aware of that. You get no warranty. But what you can get is a guitar that was potentially built 10 years ago that hasn't been played. It's been in the case. So it's got no dings, no scratches. The wood has aged. It was made in a time when wood was more readily available, which I think is probably a good thing. And I don't know if you can get, I mean, sometimes these prototypes go for more money than they did. Sometimes they go for the same. Sometimes they go for less. But I love this idea of buying a guitar that was built 10 years ago, which was a really, I believe, I say 2010 was like a golden age for acoustic guitars, because we had things like the F1 system. People were trying new things. There was more wood available. But they've built these models, and these are models you probably can't buy anymore, which is also good and bad. Maybe you want the specs of the newer guitars. I understand that. But if you could find a guitar that labels a prototype from 10 years ago, the chances are you get a mint condition guitar which hasn't been scratched or played, so the wood has aged without being overly played, and I think that's a really cool way to go. So look out for those, and let me know if you ever see one. I'll see if I can bring one up on the web to show you what I'm talking about. And I didn't even know this was a thing, but it turns out that it is. If you Google it, you'll see some come up. Okay, here's one here. Okay, so take a look at this. This is what I'm talking about. guitarhotline.com. I don't know who these people are. I have no affiliation with them. I just Googled it. This is a used guitar. Now, it may be new, old stock. They may have labeled it as used, but it's not used. Of course, if there's no warranty, then it technically is kind of used, I suppose. You also might find one that is used that was a prototype. Again, it probably will be in better condition than most, so look out for these. But this is what I'm talking about, a 2017 America 1. So when they made the America 1 series, this is what you're getting. And again, it's from 2017. I think it's really cool. And I've seen various models like this. And I think it's really, really a great way to shop. I really do. And of course, they're not, Martin, I don't go around talking about this because it's, it's like it's the thing they do on the side, isn't it? They sell these, but they do have to label them as prototypes. So, I don't know. I see good and bad in it. Remember, before a certain time, they weren't using the Plex system. I believe in the Plex system for the Martin guitars. You might find a prototype Martin that wasn't Plexed and it's not Plexed. You might find one with the previous spec, and you might prefer the current spec, like the Reimagined series spec is a lot better, I think, than the ones before it. So not everything is perfect, as is life, but I like these models because they've been shut away. I've seen a bunch of them that have just been locked away in their case for 10 years in a humidity controlled room, and then they're available. I love that idea. I don't love VTS myself, but I love the idea of buying a guitar which is sat in the closet. Because I remember, like, when I had the John Mayer, the original John Mayer guitar, it was very unplayed, but it was 10 years old, and it had something to the sound that you just don't get from a new guitar. So as well as looking at the used market, also look out for these Martin prototypes. They are sold to dealers, but if you can find one that has been in that situation, I think it's a really cool way to go to get a prototype like that. Obviously, check it over, make sure it isn't actually a prototype. No, I don't think Martin wouldn't allow a guitar out that wasn't checked and was actually a prototype. They only going to sell ones that are actually as the model was. So I think that's a cool way to shop myself, as well as buying new, of course, depending on what you want. So let me know if you've ever seen a Martin prototype for sale in the chat. The old 310 models are great. I bought one for my first guitar. Yeah, I'd love to play a 314, the older model, because I remember we had a guest on that had one. It was Tom from used to be at TC Helicon, and his guitar sounded so great, and it really was a fantastic sounding guitar. But I would do the same thing. I would look for a mint 314 from 10 years ago rather than buy a brand new 314, I think. Depends on the gear. Not always, but I think with that I would. Is that Sweetwater you're drinking? Always. Cheers, Sweetwater. Thank you for taking all of my money. All right. Good afternoon. Back in Phoenix. Played the Rain song outdoors. Oh, Rexomatic, how you doing? He played the Rain song at 6,000 feet of elevation. Very stable while traveling. Yep, that's why we buy them. Because they are incredibly stable guitars and reliable. The Doctor's playing the Kemper today. Very good. Someone asked me about my thoughts on at the start of the show on the Headrush Prime. I didn't keep it. For me, straight away, I can just tell you it's too big. It's too heavy. For some reason, I thought it was slightly smaller and lighter than the original Headrush. It's actually slightly bigger and heavier. That's just not something that fits in my workflow. And I did find a couple of issues with the looper. I'm sure that'll be fixed with a firmware update, but it basically these days, if something doesn't replace what I already have, I'm just not interested, because what happens is you keep it and you leave it on the shelf. And I just can't do that, especially living in an apartment. I need gear that I'm actually going to use, right? See you later, Pooh. Good to see you here today. And thanks for the thumbs up. I hit 26. Have I ever played a nylon string amplified live? I haven't. I thought about getting one at one point, because you do get that thicker sound. But I just love steel. I love 6-string steel strings. I really do. I'm in Melbourne. Awesome. So do you know Cole Clark? Are you in the Cole Clark factory? Can you go there and take a picture for me, please? Your hand size has a lot to do with satisfaction in terms of guitar. Yes, it does. Because some guitars have small necks, some have big necks, some have narrow nuts, some have wider nuts. And I also think to myself, we get used to the feel of a certain brand as well. Like if you get used to a Martin V-neck for 10 years and then you try to switch to a Taylor, maybe you won't like it, or maybe you will like it. But I think with gear, we get used to certain things over time. That's the only tailor I've ever gelled with, says Lee. So again, why didn't you purchase it? Again, I'm not saying you should have done. I just want to know the reason. I don't want to get in trouble for encouraging purchases. In terms of the instrument, I listen to high, low, and mids and intonation up and down the neck. I scope out action up and down the neck. Yes, me too. You got to like the overall sound. You got to like the action. You got to check the intonation. Lee says it was in Ireland, so I have to get post. Okay. So you played it in Ireland. Yeah, that's different, right? When you've got a purchase from across the water. John says, hi, Aaron. I recently came across your channel and loving it. Awesome, John. Cheers. Tell me about yourself. What do you play? What are you looking for? What information are you looking for in the videos? What do you think of Loudon guitars? Is there any pickup you choose over others for plug and play? Loudon guitars, well, I've not had much experience with them. I like them. I've reviewed the Ed Sheeran, but that's the Sheeran brand. That's not an actual Loudon. I've played some Loudons that sound wonderful, but they've all been like cedar top and no finish, and I'm just so scared of dinging them up the way I play. I've always wanted to get the guitar that Damien Rice plays on stage, his big O guitar, just because I'm a huge Damien Rice fan. I wish they'd release that as an artist model. Wow, that would be something else if they did that. Wow. But they're clearly incredible quality. They clearly sound incredible on all the recordings I've heard, but I've never actually had one of their standard models here to actually sit and play. There was a time I wanted one again after being a big Damien Rice fan, but I've never. It's so hard to find as well. If you find one, and then if I do find one, I feel I want to be so careful playing it. I wish I could get one here and actually just play it, really play it for a week or two. Then I'd have a more informed opinion. But I mean, they're legendary instruments, aren't they? And the ones I've always heard have always sounded incredible. So yes, I'm a fan, but I wish they were more accessible to sit and play. A pickup that's plug and play does not exist, but for me, the Bags Anthem is kind of that, because I find that it doesn't need much EQ and all the and this is all based on my experience. I've played the Anthem in so many guitars that sounded great straight in without additional processing. That's not to say they wouldn't sound even better with processing, but I've played so many that sounded great straight in without processing, I think, and had no problems with feedback or anything, that I love that system. I just don't like the fact it's got this soft undersaddle. I've always spoke about this over the years. I actually did some more tests yesterday to see if this really is a thing, and I just cannot come to a conclusion. I like science when I deal with this gear. I recorded the pickup with and without the element yesterday, again, for the 100th time. And I sit there and I listen to the recordings. I look at the wave files because visually you can really see stuff. But it's so hard because when you play an acoustic to do a comparison, you're always going to play it slightly differently. What you would need is some kind of robot arm to strum the chord each time, and then and have the mic at the same distance, and then you could compare the two sounds. But I don't have the ability to do that. But based on I mean, the very fact that I've spent years discussing this, it can't be that much of a big deal because I've never been able to prove it. And I don't like when people talk on forums without proof. They just say, well, I tried this and this is better than this. Well, how do you know that? How is it not just a guess, So I still like that system. And if you're gigging all the time, I still recommend the Anthem SL. And the Anthem is actually what Loudon installed in a lot of their guitars. So, Staley's here. How you doing? How's that guitar going? Have you repaired it yet? Let me know. Boom. How you doing? You're definitely new, right? Hey there. Have you ever played Furch guitars? What's your impression? I have not, but so many channels talk about Furch. Actually, I did play some at a NAMM show once, but it was more to check out the pickup system. I haven't played one in the room, in a quiet room. So I've seen a lot of positive thoughts about them, usually from YouTube channels, which may or may not be biased. I haven't ever sat with one. I do think they look really great. I've heard great things. I'd like to try one at one point. Have you tried one? Is my question to you. Brian, how you doing? Never heard your reference Ovation guitars. Well, I've always thought about Ovation guitars as kind of, you know, like the way they're bowl shaped and they use an undersaddle pickup. I've always kind of had a bit of a thought, you know, what's the word, stereotype of them. But I was watching at NAMM and they said they're now bringing production back to America and they've got new models. So I'd be interested in trying one. Obviously, I'm basing my thoughts on guitars from the 70s and 80s, so that's not fair at all. So I'd like to try one, yeah. I'm all for a stage guitar. I think that's a good way to go for many people. I didn't care for Ovations, had one and sold it. Never comfortable with a rounded back. Exactly. But you know who plays one? Is this guy, Guitaro, who I've known from the New York subway for years. And he now has a YouTube channel where he gets people to sing with him in public. And I think he's at like 1 million viewers now doing this. It's fantastic. And he plays an Ovation. And he's an endorsed Ovation artist. So the fact that he likes it makes me want to check one out as well. Eric, good to see you. This is my first live. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I've watched so many of your videos and they've helped me make the decision on my next guitar. Looking forward to listening to you more as I figure out other gear. Excellent. I'll just present the questions here. Like I said, I try to treat each product fairly and based on my live experience and also think about it as a product. And then if you want specific questions, the best thing is to come here and ask about what you're looking at in the chat. And tell us what you're doing with it so I can bring it up on the screen and actually talk you through my thoughts. Again, it's all based on what I've tried, but I have tried a lot of stuff, which may be a good or a bad thing. I don't know, but hopefully I can help you out with the information. I know some people who love Ovations, you can beat the heck out of them on the road. Yeah, exactly. Again, I'm all for a stage guitar. My Cole Clark, I may not own if I didn't use it on stage. But again, I keep saying this like a broken record. The wood is supposed to do that. It's supposed to be stiff wood, right? Those old Martins that you can buy with the wood that's like a sheet of paper is because it resonates throughout the room. You don't want that with the pickup in there. You're going to get loads of problems. And also, if you try to drum on the guitar and do some percussive stuff, you're going to break it, right? The reason that my Cole Clark has those tough woods is for that reason. So, of course, it's not going to sound huge in a room unamplified. It's not supposed to. I get so fed up with people putting on videos how Matons and Cole Clarks don't sound good. No, some of them do. Some of them are made from different woods that do sound excellent, actually. And I know this because, again, talking about the scientific route, I did a video with the Maton versus the Martin, and the Maton came out on top. So that particular guitar is Sitka and Blackwood, and that sounds really good. My Cole Clark is supposed to be great on stage. If I don't play on stage, okay, I would not buy one. I'd buy a different Cole Clark or a Martin and not put a pickup in at all. That's true. But like you said with Ovation, if that's what you need for what you're doing, then that's the guitar to buy, right? Cheers, BMO. Lee says, I've only ever seen the prototype guitars in the States. Right. I'm guessing they don't send those to the UK. Rosewood bridge on the Martin. Yeah, some Martins do have a rosewood bridge, like the M36. I'm not sure the reason why. Maybe someone can tell me. Yeah, I love that. I love today's tip because I didn't even know. I knew nothing about that. I know I played the Martin OM28JM at the Martin factory prototype, but I didn't know they sold them to dealers and that they sold them. I think that's a great way to go for some people. Cheers to sales. Yeah, my sales engineer at Sweetwater loves me. I can tell you that. John, thank you. I think I'll give the anthem a go. I'll be sure to tune in every Monday. Okay, John, but don't give me any negative feedback, okay? By the way, quick announcement. Get the Anthem SL. I'll give you the quick overview why you should get the SL over the full Anthem. The full Anthem, number one, more expensive. Number two, bigger control panel. So the SL can be recessed. You can stick it inside the guitar so that you can keep the sound hole completely clear. Number three, SL has about 6 dB more or 6 to 8 dB more of output gain, which is a good thing. You get more level out of the pickup to go into the mixer. Next one, the Anthem SL, because it doesn't have the blend feature, also has a slightly cleaner signal, less noise in the signal. Very small thing, never bothered me, but that's the fact. Next point, it's lighter. Anthem SL weighs 2.4 ounces, the same weight as the bag's hi-fi system. So, all those reasons make me want to recommend the SL. The only reason I'd recommend the full Anthem is if you want the blend control. You don't need the battery check because the battery lasts for 200 hours or whatever anyway. You don't need the phase control because I've never had a problem with the phase in my Anthem. It's nice to have, you don't need it. You have the trim still and the volume in the SL. You do lose the ability to blend, but that's why you get a better signal noise ratio. That's why you get more output volume, because it hasn't got that additional stage in there to blend. Okay, if you play on a big loud stage or you want access to the undersaddle pickup, get the full Anthem, but that's the only reason. And I always blend full mic in anyway, so the SL for me is the way to go. I say that having never really owned an SL or played an SL, but the fact that I always run the full Anthem on 100% microphone blend, for me, is enough reason, because they tell me that is then the same as the SL. And I am going to put an SL back into my HDC when I'm done with the review of the hi-fi, so I'll give you more information then. But the Anthem SL, that's the one I would get. Staley says so Staley now has the guitar that I mentioned a few weeks ago that needed some repairs. So I've gone on to him and he's going to see if he can repair it, because that's not something that I do, and I know Staley does it. And we'll keep in touch and see how he does. I feel like that it's not like it's unplayable now as it is, but structurally he needs to reinforce it, obviously. And I'm not sure how he's going to do it. I'm sure he'll let us know. Says still deciding how to fix it, trying to determine the extent of the damage, and haven't taken the strings off yet to see how much of the heel block is loose, if any. It'll be a challenge to glue up. Yeah, it looks like it took a hit where the end pin jack is, and that made that part of the guitar crack slightly. So that's the problem. And the problem with that guitar is the case they use is it's not a hard shell case, a little bit flimsy, and the box they shipped it in was really not suitable for shipping a guitar in. If you ship a guitar, use a thick, sturdy box with lots of, don't use those peanut things. Use really good quality bubble wrap and paper and a really good quality shipping box. That's what I use when I sell a guitar. That box they sent in that guitar, Staley, was terrible. I will say that. They should have used a better box, and I told them that too. Got the case parts in the works to get that back to. Oh, cool! I didn't know if you could fix the case, but that's good. The Supernatural pickup is pretty good from what I've had it playing through. Be curious in your opinion. I actually, before I sent that, or a while ago, I did make a video on the Supernatural pickup that I will post as part of my pickup review series. I think it's good. It's a little bit invasive for some people, and there's things I would change about it, but it's a very good, solid system. It's made by the guy that made the pickups in the Maiden, Nicole Clark, so he knows what he's doing. And you're right, visually those guitars are awesome. The woods they're using are very good looking to the eye. After a lot of consideration and trying through a bunch of guitars and a lot of brands, I landed on a Furch Green OMC SCR and never looked back. Very cool. I will definitely try to check one out at some point. Yes. Yeah. Again, I've heard so many great things about Furch guitars, but a lot of them are from people that have deals with them. So, but Boom says, as an honest consumer, I can highly recommend them, especially for their price. So that's good information. Thank you for sharing. Also loving your content. Keep it up. Looking forward to more acoustic related gear stuff. Yeah, I've always been an acoustic guitar focused channel. I like to go into electric as well. And I feel like most acoustic players do dabble in electric as well. But I definitely have an interest in the acoustic side because there's less people doing it. And I'm doing it from the approach of someone that's playing out and playing gigs. And I think it's important to address that stuff, right? How to make your gigs sound better with your guitar. I think I say to people, it's a niche of a niche, but it's good to have some kind of niche as well. Anthem SL it is. Your knowledge is impressive. Nice one. Well, like I said, I've just tried a lot of stuff, John. And if I can save you some headaches and some money along the way, I'm happy to do that. So I always have to say this: there is no best. If you told me more about what you do and where you play and what you plug into, I might make a different suggestion, but you can't really go wrong with that system. Just make sure you install it correctly. Since today's show is really acoustic themed, the Miniflex mic is also revamping their entire line after suffering total loss after the fire in California. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. The Miniflex mic. Do I know that? Miniflex Online. Oh, you see, that's like what we were talking about before. I don't think I've even seen this one. An external microphone like this. So similar in a way to the DPA, right? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that goes inside the guitar as well. So, you know, every time I put a mic in the guitar, it can potentially sound like a mic guitar. Because it does. It's a microphone, right? But you also get all the problems with the feedback, especially in the lower frequencies. And that's why these crossover systems are just amazing for me. And I won't try to pronounce your name, my friend, but thanks for being here. Have you ever tried the Nuex MG400? Have I? They got so many products, I need to type it into my computer and see what that is. MG400. I don't know, my canine friend is back, luckily at the end of the stream, because he likes to talk to me while I'm live. Oh, I see why. He's got a friend there barking at him. That's why they're having a conversation or an argument, maybe. This is it. Guitar processor. I have not. I do like the Nuex stuff. I've never really had success with their wireless systems, which has been a cause of frustration. Whenever they've sent me something to review that's wireless, I've always had to say that it doesn't really work for me. But their guitar stuff is impressive. This is cool, 219. They have that new thing coming out that was at NAMM that is a multi-effects, like analog kind of button style, but multi-effects with amp sims. I can't think what it's called now. It's like the Cerberus, but bigger. And I would probably look at that, but it's also more money as well, which is worth bearing in mind. The Trident, that's right. Nuex Trident. You see, they have so many products I can't keep up. I tried the Cerberus, that was excellent. I've done some reviews of their amps and things that were very good. These wireless systems in this building just do not work for me, so I can't recommend them because, again, I have to base this off my own experience, which is a shame because I love the design. The Optima Air I've reviewed is excellent. I want to just show you the Trident before we go. Again, I haven't tried it, pardon the pun, but it looks really cool. It's the sort of thing that I'd be interested in. It's not coming up. Hang on. Nuex Trident. It's actually, how much is it? I don't think it's for sale yet. I think it's be around 400. Bit more money, but it looks really cool. I would be interested in checking this one out. You see, it's got plenty of foot switches. It's not too big. It's got built-in amp models and effects. It's an all-in-one. You can use it as an effects board. I like their amp sounds. I like their effects sounds. I like the quality of the stuff. I like the price. I think I would go for one of the... I haven't tried it, so I feel bad saying that. I shouldn't even recommend stuff I haven't tried, but I would check out this Trident if you're interested in something like that for electric guitar, and see if you can get one for a good price. Of course, as always. I got the Hendrickson Bud 6 amp about 3 weeks ago. It's a keeper for its lightweight, size, EQ, and power. Of course, the bass player often tells me I need a Princeton reverb. Yeah, the Bud is interesting because you can use it for electric guitar and acoustic guitar. It's voiced a bit more like an electric guitar amp, isn't it, than a full-range speaker, I believe. I like all that stuff. I feel like these days, the small acoustic amps, like the AER stuff, it's still viable, but I often recommend more like the new battery-powered PA speakers to people because they're more versatile and often more affordable. So that's the only thing with that. But if you know you want one of those acoustic amps that's voiced for acoustic and that's what it does, I still think that's a good way to go. I mean, Tommy Emmanuel uses one. You know, I get it, but for a lot of players that like to sing and play music in their breaks, I think something like those Everse 8 speakers, and you know, in all honesty, I can't say that sounds better than those amps. I don't think it does actually, but it's more versatile and it has the app control. It just does a lot more. So that's usually what I recommend to people. And I haven't played through in a dedicated acoustic amp in a while either. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe one day I can go back and compare a dedicated acoustic amp to a PA speaker again because it's been so long since I did it. But I know I'm much more satisfied for myself with a PA style speaker because I sing and I play the interval music and I like to use the app as well. That's the reason why I don't use the S1 Pro anymore. Actually, someone said to me there's a new S1 Pro housing, like they had to make a new housing for it. I need to check that out at Guitar Center. But the reason I don't use that is mostly because there's no app control, and I love the app control. I haven't got to reach down and make adjustments on the box on the floor, so that's nice. All right, let's wrap this thing up. So, John plays solo fingerstyle, no percussion, and with the cellist. Currently using a JME Ultratonic into a Bose. I usually use a nylon string, but I've recently become interested in using a steel string. Awesome. I was just talking to someone today about the Ultratonic. It's very clever the way he built in a notch basically for that frequency. An acoustic guitar always has a resonant frequency. On my OM it's the D, and on my HTC it's the E. Depends on the guitar itself, right? And the way you figure that out easily is if you're plugging it in, is to turn up the speakers really loud, sit in front of them and tap on the top, and you'll hear something go vroom, and you figure out what that note is, and that is the resonant frequency. So he built in a system into that to notch that out passively. Very, very clever. And I did tell LR Bags, like in their hi-fi system, it'd be good to build that in as well. Like you can just make an adjustment on that frequency, and it's just like set and forget, like a little screw adjustment. That'd be amazing. Like I said, that none of those other systems have it apart from the Ultratonic, and there are benefits to the Bags pickup over the Ultratonic, but that is a great way of doing it. Build that into a pickup that hears the top of the guitar, because the top of the guitar tends to get a lot of that resonant frequency that you don't tend to get from an undersaddle pickup. So Stady says £13. That's nice. What's £13? £13. Tell me what that. Now I can't. No, I need to know what that is now. £13. What's £13? Spendy. Oh, £13 is the Henriksen Bud 6. I don't know. Anyway, yes, weight is important with gear, especially when you're carrying it a lot. I carried that Everse to the train the other day, and even that sucked because it's £15. You know, carrying £15 in one arm, and then you've got something else in the other arm, so you can't even keep switching arms all the time. It just is. It's not fun, you know. But that's why the weight is so important. I don't want to carry something around that's like £22. Actually, my cable bag is £22, but I just keep switching arms the whole time. So if I've got to carry the Everse in one hand and I can't switch hands because I'm using the other hand to carry the bag, that becomes a problem because you're just carrying all that weight all that time. You can't even take a break. You have to like keep stopping and stuff. But you know, I guess it's a good workout, right? I'm not going to sign off until Stady tells me what's £13. But I will thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. If you're new here, subscribe and ring the bell. Make sure notifications are turned on, because if I do post a video, YouTube should hopefully notify you. If you've got friends that like acoustic guitars, please tell them about the channel, because the more numbers and people we get here, the more we can do, which is a very good thing. And I'd like to thank, I didn't actually say thanks to LR Bags for letting me check out their hi-fi pickup so early. I do appreciate it. At the same time, I'm really excited to hear what people, I think it's shipping next week. I'm excited to hear what people think of it as well in their guitars and their environments. And I want to hear from them before I make my full review, because I think it's good to have that information as well. But that's been very cool. And I like that. The great thing about LR Bags is they told me we don't care what you say about the product. You know, you can say what your exact experience. Like, we won't be offended. Don't worry about offending us. Now, it's not that I don't do that with all products. I do. But there's been certain products that I've reviewed and I've said one slightly critical thing and they don't talk to me ever again. LR Bags are listening. They appreciate the input. They want to make the product better, it seems, right? So that's a really great thing. And I think that's great. And I will be putting my thoughts into that final review of how it could be even better. But just know that if I really don't like a product, it doesn't even receive a review. So if you ever see me say I got something, you don't see a review, it usually means there was an issue with it and I'm waiting for them to fix it or something like that. Because I don't want to waste all my viewer time on stuff that doesn't work. If I do buy something and I have a real issue with it, I make a video about it because I feel like that's my voice as a customer that bought something and has a complaint, right? I see Rode just brought out loads of new products. I love their products. I love their innovation. And to be fair, the Rodecaster Pro, I was trying to use it in a way that maybe they're not marketing it to, but I was trying to use it as an audio interface in Logic, and it just wasn't up to my needs for that. It just didn't work, and that's why I made a video saying, hey, if you are a musician and going to buy that, just bear this in mind. I'm not even saying don't buy it. I'm just saying be careful, because I bought it, I had to sell it, and I lost some money, and they never did improve that aspect of it. Maybe they can't. I don't know. They didn't give me an answer for that. But again, not saying it's not a good product. I thought it was excellent. I love that thing. As you know, I used it for a few months. But I'm looking for products that work as what they say they're working for. So that, for me, that was meant to be an audio interface, and it just wasn't good enough. There's too much latency in Logic to even use it in that respect. At least with plugins, you know. So, oh, the bud, right? That's what I thought. Yeah, £13, right? Weight with these amps is important. Cheers, Lee. Hey, Lee, be careful. Don't buy that Taylor. Or at least think about it first, right? Because I feel bad. I feel like I've been egging you on now to buy that Taylor. So that's not my intention. Have a safe drive. And if you do get the Taylor, send me some pictures. John, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone for watching. If you want to support the channel, I will just run my little thing up here. You can send me an email if you want to ask me a question. I'm also available for, this year I've done a few lessons and private consultation where people show me their equipment and I give them some tips over the video. Follow me on social media, subscribe to the channel. I have super thanks and buy me a coffee as well if you want to do that. I appreciate it. Any money I get goes back into the channel to make more videos. And like I said, I'm going to try to do those Fishman ones, but not until I've tried them all the way. I want to do that first of all. And thank you to Rosanna and Lee for moderating today. The great thing is we've had no problems lately, knock on wood. We've had no trolls in here. We've only had people that want to talk about gear and socialize and have a good time, and that's awesome. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week. I will see you soon, and look forward to seeing you next Monday. Bye-bye.